No, yeah.
This meeting of the Ripon Area School District Board of Education has been properly noticed in accordance with the open meeting law in state statute 19.84 and related legal references. Our district statement of vision is one of Wisconsin's finest school districts, fostering excellence for all through innovation. We are going to change things up a tad from what it is on the agenda so that all the participants of the video can go first. So we'll watch our video and then we'll see who's here.
Schools don't have, like I know in like middle school we have tech ed. We have options that a lot of schools don't have, like I know in like middle school we have tech ed and most classes don't have that, and like how we separate ELA from reading too, and a lot of schools don't have that either.
There's just a lot of options like to help you learn. I mean, then you can do all these clubs.
All of the clubs, the book club, Canada club, science club.
Tech ed, you can make like your own like little robots. You can make like wood sculptures of anything really. And it's also band, which I took. It was really fun. We got to play an instrument and stuff.
Probably choir and just able to hear other people's voices. They gave us really good quiet time. We had snack, recess. As for taking a break from work, we had some lunch because the school knew we were all hungry after recess. Well, I really like the cafeteria and how you have like a bunch of choices. They have a really big gym. It's really fun, and I like the rock wall.
Also, I think like our high school is very connected with the community.
Basketball, so sporting, and it's helped me a lot. Like makes me actually like want to do good in school, so I'm like able to play.
They give you like a lot of time in class to actually work on your stuff, so then you don't have to really work on it at home too much compared to like, I guess, just other assignments, because really they give you the time to do your homework and the assignments that you would be doing out of class, but instead you can do those in class and get them done earlier, so then you don't really have much late work.
Yeah, reading rotations, math rotations. Well, they have like stars of the week, so we get to make posters, and then they hang that person out on the hallway on I don't know how to explain it, but and then they get to be the line leader and stuff. I'm just a pretty girl.
Well, I would definitely say to, well, obviously apply yourself and do the best in what you can, but also try things that you don't necessarily know are something you're gonna like. There's been so many times in high school where I, tried something out and I was like, I don't really know if I'm gonna like this. And then I ended up being some of my favorite parts of high school. So I definitely would say, just getting out there and trying things that are a little bit newer, because you don't really know until you're in there to know if that's something you're gonna like.
But I'd say get involved. The more you can do, the more you get out of high school. It's really what you put into it, and also helps set you up for your future. So I think that's just like the biggest thing to do from going in high school.
Don't you come in the classroom. Never talk back to the teachers. Mostly just try to be on your best behavior, and the more you are on the best behavior, the more fun opportunities you'll have.
I would say just like make sure you're really paying attention, because it starts to matter. If the missing work, making sure you get your assignments in, so make sure you're really paying attention, and you gotta be more focused on your schoolwork instead of like just goofing around. So it's time to really like get focused, but also still enjoying your time with friends and having a good time with your teachers as well.
Keep working, you can do it. It's like when you think that you're you're gonna give up, like, keep going because you won't, like, you're gonna get it right and you're gonna get a lot of help along the way.
To keep trying.
I would say don't be scared because it's really fun there.
Well, for the kids to like more, definitely do more hands-on activities. So we do like 30% hands-on activities, you know, and like 70% for like regular class.
I feel like a lot more kids like hands-on learning these days instead of just textbook. So if we were more like active in the learning advice, I feel like that would.
In morning classes, I like to have like fun activities. So a lot of fun activities for us to learn is really nice.
Because out of every class I went to, the least amount of participation I've seen was in math class. So that's why you gotta these kids on like a piece of candy, a pat on the back, a high five when they did it, because they wouldn't feel like they got this.
And the more excited you are about it, the more excited the students will be, which will make it a more enjoyable experience for everybody.
This is hard because, you know, I'm a kid, they're adults do their thing. But if I had to give advice, put in more, like, I'm not saying that there weren't fun projects, but like a lot more like cool, fun stuff. Like I know, like, I had my science teacher, she would say like, we don't like do big explosions. I think now we should do big explosions.
Have more like chances for mindfulness because I feel like students should have more time to settle down.
You guys go through so much hard work, so many stressful situations that are even stressful for me sometimes, even though I don't have to deal with them. And sometimes you go unnoticed behind your desk, behind your custodial cart, behind the kitchen counter, but you're not unnoticed. Speaking just for myself, I think about all the work that goes into keeping those halls clean, keeping us all fed, and keeping us all in line, even though it's so hard to do in the classroom. And I know I'm not the only one, that's for sure. I know there are other people who notice you.
It made you feel important and like, I don't know, always put you first.
I think that they're all very connected with the students, like their day doesn't necessarily end at 3 or 7.
Just always being there for support, like if I ever had a question or was confused about, you know, any type of thing, I could always feel comfortable enough to go and approach, because I know that they're always gonna help and they always want, you know, to do more and get more out of your education instead of, you know, just something that you go to. A lot of the teachers definitely take pride in what they do and, you know, really want to help the students on a personal level.
Just making like middle school more enjoyable instead of kind of like a task, and you could actually enjoy your day instead of being stuck there.
All the teachers are like really inviting in their classrooms, and it's like a good space to like learn and have fun.
Well, a lot of the times they just like don't yell at us, they just like stay calm and because we have a really bad grade, so.
They challenge me, give me harder math problems than other people.
I think, well, primarily, honestly, the teachers are just fantastic. I've connected with so many teachers on such a personal level, and I know how much all of them really do care about, especially education, but also just us as people. It's not, I mean, I feel like some people always are like, what's the point of learning this? It's not necessarily about learning whatever content, but trying to set you up for success for whatever you do. And I think a lot of Ripon throughout the entire process, teachers know that very deeply, and that's their main goal.
And just being awesome teachers.
You can tell in the way that everybody teaches that they enjoy being there and they enjoy what they do. So don't forget that, and thank you for caring. Just in general.
Thank you for helping and helping other people.
I would want to thank them for just fostering learning in my mind, making it fun, actually wanting to learn more about stuff.
Thank you for teaching.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. Hi, Mr. Gabriel.
Yeah.
Everybody and the new fifth graders coming, that are currently fifth graders, like coming to sixth graders, they're really fun and enjoyable. They're actually quite peaceful, surprising. Us eighth graders are relaxing, but some of us will mess with you. But it's always enjoyable because the ones that mess with you are funny. Every teacher laughs at some point. And then the sixth graders moving into seventh grade. I don't really know much about them, so wild card.
I know there are other people who notice you and may not be able to say thank you because either physical location or social circumstances, whatever. But they are thanking you in their head every day, even if it's not cool to thank your teacher. I want to say thank you, and I want to extend that thank you on behalf of everybody else who I went to school with and everybody who will come after me.
We would like to recognize all of the students that have come in that were in the video. So if you guys could just kind of come up here, make a little line. Oh, great. You're going to tell us your name. And you guys say so everybody can hear you what grade you're in? All right. You did a great job. Good job. What's your name? Hi, Gavin. What grade are you in? Third grade. Great job.
There you go, Gavin. Congratulations.
Did you get the name for the video?
The name for the video? It's You Are Noticed.
Like it says on the back of your shirt. When you take it off, when you get home, you have to look. Tell them. What grade are you in? Third grade. Congratulations. What grade are you in? Fifth. Congratulations and great job. Josie, what grade are you in? You're in second. Third grade? You're in fourth grade? Oh, first grade. That's awesome. And then shake your hand. Good job. Awesome. You did a great job. What grade are you in? Fourth grade. All right. Thank you, guys.
Really quickly, I want to just tell everybody or thank everybody who's here and give a little bit of a background. So last May, when I found out that I would be coming to work in Ripon, I asked all of the building principals to identify some students that they thought personified all that was great about their schools. And I didn't tell them what I was doing with that information, but they all responded very, very promptly and allowed me the pleasure to meet all of you and all of your kids. So thank you so much for celebrating all that is great about Ripon in the video, and hopefully it's something that catches on for a lot longer than this. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you to all of you parents that took the time to bring your students in. That's awesome. Next on our agenda, we'll go back up. Mr. Kinziger, would you like to introduce our exchange student?
Sure do. So we have Charlotte Gardner. Alright, from Germany, and she is staying with Johan and Miranda. Okay. And I'd like to welcome Charlotte.
live with it from memory. And yeah, it was I don't really to go to state and high school and everything. And also practice my language, so I think it's really important and it's good to hear and practice every day. Get know new people and culture and
Are you here all year?
sorry?
Are you here for the whole school?
Yeah.
Welcome, Charlotte. Your language is very, very good. So I can only imagine what you'll sound like after a year of being here and immersed in it. You're doing great.
And
Yeah.
all the babysitting experience. So obviously we are crazy people. My husband saw her profile on the foundation that was hosting her, and she also has 4 siblings that are younger than her. So we were like, she might be able to get it. So we chose her for that reason that she had similar interests as I did, and I was in high school. And cheer squad.
Don't apologize.
If I could take a moment, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of that video. I came to school 10 years ago. I graduated 10 years ago from Ripon. I just wanted to piggyback on that. You guys are not forgotten. I remember taking your classes when I was in school. That video made me cry. You were my 2nd grade teacher. Sarah Seidler Holwitz, she organized the baby shower for her after I had graduated. You guys make an impact after we leave the school and we don't forget you then either. So thank you so much. I'll take my noise out of here.
You're fine.
Yes, thank you.
It's cute.
Yes. We appreciate that energy.
I wish I had that energy.
This one, my husband the other day was like, he's so quiet. I was like, no, he's not. All right, everybody, you ready? Should we go eat some pizza?
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Nice meeting you. Next, we'd like to recognize our 2025 Friends of Public Education recipients and City of Ripon School Resource Officers. If you guys could stand up, I know you received your certificates at the first day of school, but we'd still like to recognize you. If you could each say who you are and maybe tell when you were an officer. We know 2 of you right now.
Yeah. So Brad Rasmussen, primarily the middle school and high school school resource officer. This will be my 3rd full year working in schools. Started 20, somewhere in that ballpark. And I love what I do. It's really a great honor and privilege to be able to work in the schools. And as you can see, have my 3 kiddos here. 1 current Tiger, 2 hopefully future Tigers. And it's great to be able to work with kids and obviously to work with the school district, and it's a wonderful school district to work for. So I'm very grateful to be here, and thank you guys for recognizing us.
I'm Lindsay Michaels. This is my 7th year in the schools. I was in for 3 years, went out as a night shift sergeant and came back. And just am very humbled and honored to receive this award. We've greatly appreciated our partnership with the school has just been growing, and we have such a strong partnership with our schools, and I can't say enough of it. And when I go to school resource officer meetings and talk with other resource officers, it's hard not to brag about our district and the work that we do together for our students and our staff and the safety of everyone. And so thank you so much. It's an honor to be a partner and to work here at the Ripon.
I'm Bill Walter, I'm the chief of the police department. I'm not in this role. Some days I wish I was. So, yeah, just piggyback off of what you said. The partnership has really grown in the last 10 years. Where very grateful for that. Not only does it make an impact in the school district, but quite frankly, it makes an impact in the community. And that's what's important here, that partnership, because obviously a vast majority of our, a large portion of the public that we serve is in the school district, whether it's employees or students or staff. So that's important, and it makes an impact in our community for the better. And certainly, very proud of these two and the work that they continue to do for the district. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any written comments? Nope. Any public comments? Any public after this person? Let's see. Okay. Anybody have any changes or anything you would like to change on the agenda? We talked today, we were wondering about, can we do that with the consent agenda, bring that up now? About mentioning the changes, if there's a change to the consent agenda, to do that now, or should we?
That's during the adoption of the agenda part, yeah.
We were talking today, and to kind of streamline things, instead of doing it twice, asking if there's any changes, if you have a change or something you'd like to take out of the consent agenda as well, if you could let us know that now, gives Jolene more time also to change the agenda. So if you have any changes you'd like to make to the entire agenda, let us know now, please. Anybody? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, and just to clarify, it's not changing an agenda item, just changing the order.
Just the order. Yep, we're pulling something out of the consent agenda.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
But we're not voting on it until later.
Voting on?
The consent agenda.
Correct.
Right.
So
right.
it's just early warning that something.
Is there something that we need to discuss?
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. So everybody's good with the agenda? Okay. We'll accept the agenda as written. Next item is announcement of contributions to the district.
Mm-hmm. So the following donations were made to the district in the past month. The special thanks to Candy Webster for a donation of $500 to the Ripon High School volleyball program. Those are the donations for this month.
Next on the agenda, our student representative is here tonight for the first time. This is Emma Risa, and I'll just kind of let her see what she's got going on at the high
Yes,
school.
it's good to meet all of you. I'm on the volleyball team and basketball team, and I do track and field, just as a little reference to me. I'm the class president this year of the seniors, and I'm also student council president. So coming back from summer, all the students are kind of settling in. We're acknowledging expectations like Smart Pass, so making sure we're in the classrooms primarily most of the day, dress code, and then making sure our phones are put away so we can focus on our learning. Athletics, the start of the seasons have been very successful for a lot of teams. Our soccer team is currently undefeated. Our volleyball team came home from Westfield with wins from all teams, so JV2, JV, and varsity without dropping a set. The football team, they won against Clintonville at home along with the Dells, which was just this Friday. It was a super exciting game. It was also the boys' senior night, so it was really special to take home that win. And then our cross-country varsity girls, they got second place at the Green Bay Preble meet. And then our tennis team, they have basically a whole new team. We have 2 returners, so they're kind of rebuilding, and it's just a really important season to get to know everyone on the team. School spirit has also been a huge thing. It's been seen in the student sections. Everyone's dressing up for themes. Everyone's getting to know each other. The freshmen. It's been really a fun environment. Student council, we're focusing on planning homecoming. The theme this year is on the road again. So it's heavily focused on travel, and each day is going to be associated with a state. We're all getting together tomorrow and going to decide some of the events like the boys volleyball team, girls kickball. We're going to get Kona Ice to come. It's going to be a fun week, which is homecoming's on October 4th, so it's going to be the days coming up to that. We just want to get people excited for the school year, comfortable, get the freshmen involved, the sophomores involved, and obviously the juniors and seniors. Other clubs began meeting, so FBLA started to meet, and art club, everything like that, and the numbers have been really good. A lot of participation there from all grade levels, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's been a good start to the year, and everything's going smoothly. So that's everything for me.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
And like I told you, you're welcome to stay, or you can go. It's up to you.
I'm going to go home and eat dinner. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the week.
Right, that was good. Next thing on the agenda is personnel. First thing is to consider teacher overload pay for Odyssey for the 2025 school year. Do we have a motion to put that on the floor?
So moved. Denise.
Denise, and a second?
Second.
David? Okay, any comments or questions does anybody have regarding the overload pay? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Okay, passed unanimously. Next item is to consider approval of a part-time contract increase. If I remember correctly, this is the position that was brought back due to a donation. And her contract has just been increased a short or a small amount. So do we have a motion to put that on the floor? Motion. Jessica? And a second?
I'll second.
Stephanie? Okay. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a comment.
Okay.
So I thought last year when we got rid of this position that it was a dangerous thing to do because we never know when we're going to get newcomers who don't speak English, and as soon as that happens, we really need to do something for them. So I'm just making a suggestion that we should be very careful about cutting EL positions when we could at any moment have a student come in that just needs a tremendous amount of help to survive in school.
That explode into, yeah, I agree. Anybody else? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Okay, that passes unanimously. Next item is the consent agenda. I'll take, since we already asked about anything to be pulled out of the consent agenda or changed, can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
David, in a second?
Second.
Tom? All right. We'll vote. Sorry. Did that go through?
Yep.
Okay, that passed unanimously. Superintendent reports.
Great. So there are no legislative updates that were provided for this month. And the committee reports is something that's going to be new. So this past week, the Curriculum Instruction Committee, the Finance Committee, as well as the Policy Committees all met. I'm thinking we'll just go in the order that they took place. So the Curriculum and Instruction Committee met on Tuesday, I believe, of last week. So, Katie, do you have anything? And Chrissy, if you'd like to come up and be part of the conversation, you can. We're just going to have a conversation about what was discussed there.
Okay, so Chrissy just provided us with a great update in regards to upcoming assessments, the timeline of everything, and the different assessments used for each school and grade level. They did a summer school survey to check and see what what would appeal the most to the district staff in terms of what would attract them to instruct summer school, what went well, what didn't, and just kind of the preferred schedules and things like that. And it sounds like there's going to be some follow-up survey questions sent to clear a few things up and to narrow some options down even further. And a lot of the discussion was in regards to kind of the function of the committee and how we wanted things to go and just how this reporting would go. And then other things that we talked about was in terms of the measures and how there's going to be renorming of some of the, I don't know how to explain it, the levels of, or like the test scores, there we go. Renorming of test scores, and they've seen nationwide some pretty significant declines in test scores, and so they're renorming everything to kind of bring the average scores down so that not so many students are considered below average or needing support.
Yeah,
and it's my understanding that the goal is to like slowly bring those norms back up.
Well, it's a realignment rather than like a low rate. It's just test scores have been gradually going down.
That's more diplomatic way of saying it.
Yes, yeah. It's just realigning to try to get a more accurate apples to apples comparison across the country based on the current context. Yes.
And then another new thing that was brought up was a EL peer mentoring program that's going to be happening. So that's going to partner older EL students with younger EL students, and so that they have kind of a touch point and support within the school district. And I thought that was a really cool thing. And obviously a lot of professional development ongoing with teachers and staff.
Thank you. Any questions for Katie or the curriculum?
I don't have any questions. I just have another comment. When you renorm, you're just saying that we have a new normal, but that doesn't mean that we aren't just as far behind as we were before.
Right.
And I see this all the time in the forward exam. We've talked frequently about the reading level, the literacy, and how we compare with other school districts, and we do the same thing in math, and we do well usually in both of them, but nobody ever looks at the actual scores where math is way down here. It's just nobody's doing very well with math. And I think as school board people, we have to remember that we would like to be doing a whole lot better in some of these areas, and just because everybody dropped off over COVID and afterwards, and maybe started a little bit before even with the actual recession in 2008, we would like to get a whole lot better. And just because we're going to look better in the comparisons now, because we're renorming everything, doesn't mean that the students couldn't use a lot of extra work.
And I'll just kind of throw out there that we did have that conversation as well in the committee meeting, and I feel like our curriculum director and principals and staff are very well aware of that and still fully committed to providing the students with the support that they're going to need.
I'd also add that I think our internal measures can be whatever we want them to be, and we can set goals according to the standards that we come up with internally, which I think also raises that bar and has us striving to continue improving rather than settling for where we're at.
Has Wisconsin increased their standards over the last couple of years? I know that they had decreased their standards for a while there, but have those gone back up?
When you say standards, what do you mean?
Well, like their test score standards.
Like what the benchmark is?
Correct.
Can you speak to that, Kristen?
Yeah, I can come up here and take a look at it, I guess. I wouldn't say necessarily that they have decreased. Again, it's, to Katie's and David's point, a lot of times the norming happens based on other districts across the state, so they're always realigning. Obviously, there was a big dip as a result of COVID, and a lot of norming has taken place since then, because we were making comparisons pre-COVID to where our kids are at now. I think as Ron alluded to, certainly We want to establish high standards in our district itself and determine what that benchmark is for all of our kids. And that is something that we are committed to doing most definitely. But in regard to the renorming, again, they look at that every so often. It seems to be like every 2 to 3 years. They haven't changed drastically, I would say, in terms of state assessment norming in recent years, but that's subject to change. They have to get a big committee together with feedback from teachers and administration to look at that.
I
don't
too
know if I
think,
answered your question or not.
I mean, I think that the gap has widened between the high achieving and the lower achieving. And I think that then the norm, the mean changes, because I think there maybe are more students that are struggling for other reasons. Could be not just, the other influences that come into play. So I think that our districts are challenged because not populations aren't the same. I'm not saying it's an excuse. I think that we also have to look at those elements as we look at norming.
And what I can tell you is even more so than the achievement measures, the state and districts across the state are being charged with looking at that growth for that very reason. So that kids who are scoring below, even if they're not meeting the mark in terms of achievement, they're at least making that growth. And we want to continue to see that rate of growth for all kids, whether it be at the low end, high end, medium. So there is a definite intentional focus on growth data for that reason as well.
Did you say the renorming is happening every couple of years?
It seems to have been, that is kind of the trend. We also too, I mean, every time you get a new vendor with testing and things, that tends to have to reset, and that seems to happen quite frequently.
It's kind of hard to get on more.
It is.
You're constantly renorming.
Even with our Act 20 data that we had from last year, it being the first year, because the renorming took place, it will be, and they've said this, it will be virtually impossible to even compare last year's data to this year's data, because we will have fewer students who are flagging as below that benchmark that they have set. Again, that doesn't take away the fact that we still need to support students who are not meeting the benchmarks that we have determined. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
The finance committee met on the 10th, and it was Jonah and Brian and Chris and Jessica and I. And just to, I'll start the conversation off, and then please chime in. So Brian gave an update on some facilities projects, and that door closers at Barlow, the air conditioners have been replaced at Murray, some branding standardization at Ingalls, some energy efficiency initiatives. So the field house at the high school is amazing for any of you who had a chance to see a recent volleyball match or any other events. Just the flexibility that's there and the energy efficiency opportunities that we'll be able to capture are great. And then some safety and security considerations were also mentioned, and then some ongoing and future facility projects looking at asphalt work, HVAC system enhancements, but also keeping in mind that the air conditioning unit at Barlow is original. Knock on wood, especially with the 80-degree weather we're having this week. And then looking also at Murray School carpeting replacement as one of those potential pieces too. So, and then we entered into a conversation about some budgetary things, and if anybody else who was there would like to talk about those, that would be great.
Go ahead.
The big one we talked about was the drop in enrollment for the Odyssey having an impact there. The levy that's coming up and referendum discussion. The referendum discussion, I think, is going to be a big one, and the talk was to start that sooner than later, much sooner, and work on making that happen. There's a reassessment coming of the properties, which is going to change the levy rate, but it should make things stay relatively the same for community members, the homeowners. Rates will go up, but it won't be drastic, big amounts on initial projections. The big one for me was that a lot of it is an estimate, and it sounds like the way it's been done in the past, and the gentleman's got a really good handle on it, is how there's a range. So there's a good fluctuation and a good plan to be able to take to the meeting, I believe, which is next Monday.
The annual meeting.
The annual meeting. So hopefully anybody that's listening will actually show up and have an input, rather than just having a handful of people be here. So that would be a neat thing to have. But it sounds like there's a very good plan in place.
Yeah, there's some cushion built into Fund 38 and 39. So we discussed it like there's two separate checkbooks. We can't take money out of Fund 10 for operating expenses from Fund 38 or 39. So it has to come from the referendum, and we currently have two referendums, one for $500,000, one for $850,000. One for $500,000 is expiring, and so in order to renew that, which we can renew them, I think it's every 6 years, it's best to just, let's renew one, or like, let's ask for one for, I guess we didn't really discuss an amount, but somewhere around 1.5 million, and then combine those two that we currently have into the one now for the 1.5 million over the next 6 years. And then that's what we would use for our operating budget, and we wouldn't really have to. We could adjust the debt payments that we owe back without having to affect taxpayers and what they are currently paying.
So the 500,000 expires
this 2027.
And when does the 850?
2030?
2028, it expires 1 year later.
It's 1 year later.
Okay.
So the idea, so I'm not sure I understood. So the idea is, when the first one expires, to go out with a referendum that's more money, and then not do the second one when it expires? Is that, or I don't quite understand.
So I think I'm just going to sit over here for just a minute. But so the one is going to expire that's 500,000, and right now they're both running at the same time. So when that one expires, we would draft a question for voters to replace that 500,000 that's expiring, and then consider in the future years replacing both of them, as to at least maintain the funding that we have now. We also talked about the possibility of increasing the total amount potentially.
But then, so what would, if it went that way, what would people be voting on when the 500,000 one expires? They'd be voting?
So they would be voting, like, I would imagine that the question would say, in the year 27, 28, approve 600,000 or 500,000. Let's say we're doing flat line, so it's 500,000. And then the following year would say 2028, 29, 1.35 million. And then 2029, 30, 1.35 million. And it would give you 6 years worth of approval, or 7, in that question for voters. And so they would see each year laid out.
And so then when the next year, when the 850,000 one did, we would already have taken care of it.
Correct.
It would have been built into the previous
So that way
year.
you're not asking voters
Right.
again to approve the
Yes,
referendum.
I just wasn't sure reading this, how we were handling the time in between. And now I understand, thank you.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing for the board to just be mindful of is we don't have a question yet, right? We want to engage in that, have ongoing dialogue, and start, to Chris's point, start early, so we can not only help educate all of us on the board, but help educate the community as well, so they understand everything that we're talking about, and it's not something that shows up on a ballot that no one has ever heard of before. I think those are the more prudent steps that we can take to make sure that people can make the most informed decision they possibly can by us providing them as much information in an ongoing way, starting now, truly like 14, 15 months ahead.
Jonah, can you put all of that in one question, or does it have to be separate? Okay,
Yeah, you can put it all in one question. It just lays out the funding for each year.
yeah, that makes
So-
sense. I just wasn't sure if you had to do them all separately, or,
No.
it's interesting. Thank you.
I'll move it.
Oh, sorry.
I think one of the other things that we also talked about that is coming up here soon is a review of our healthcare plan, to take a look at those, at the current plan that we have, and see if there are some efficiencies that we can take advantage of, or taking a look at what our healthcare plan is. Does it make more sense, and is it more prudent for us to change? And a committee of employees will be tasked to do that, and I'm looking forward to facilitating those to bring forward a recommendation for the board in October, at the end of October for that. So just wanted to add that. David, I'm sure you have another question. Oh, was that your
The question
question?
has to do with that topic.
Okay.
So my question is, have we figured out what caused the extra use of our insurance?
So to some extent, so in 2024, we had 13 surgeries in the whole 12 months. And in the first 6 months of 2025, we had 15. So we went from 13 in 12 months to 15 in 6. And so that was a big impact on us. And the one thing our brokers kind of said, they kind of summarized everything, is just, even though our plan is very similar to like some other school district plans, everybody's behavior is different, and I think part of it is too for us is just our size. Our size, we're just trying to do exactly what some larger districts are doing, and we can't get the same price per member that they can get, when we're the size that we are. So.
And there's no, I would have thought that if self-funding was really a good idea, that some small districts would want to get together so they can do what large districts do. Is that just not something that people are interested in? Or does it not work out for other logistical reasons or something like that?
I think it doesn't work out for other logistical reasons. We've combined with other small districts in cooperatives to try to negotiate rates with providers together. And to some extent, you would say that was successful, but on some level, you have to carry your own risk yourself. So, when we're purchasing stop loss insurance, yes, we're with co-ops with other groups, but that risk is still on us, and the performance of our members still impacts what we pay for stop loss. And that's one specific item that we haven't been able to lower our stop loss insurance costs to match, what Oshkosh or Appleton or Menasha have per member. We just haven't been able to be offered those same rates. And some of those things are inescapable. We can't get beyond that. And so we're still looking at the options of being self-funded and presenting it side by side with fully insured. But we think, it'll be interesting just for everybody to observe it and kind of see hey, here's the option A, here's B, and then 6 or 7 or 8 options of different things we could do.
Is there higher utilization than other smaller districts?
I think we do have some pretty high utilization. Those 15 surgeries in 6 months, that was pretty high utilization, but even beyond that, there's things like physical therapy and chiropractic and things like that that may be high, and that's, it just is what it is. It's just our members. So.
Also, if you look at a pool, or you call it a consortium, is that the same thing as a pool? That, don't you assume risk from those other schools too, if you're
in a captive
premium?
Yeah.
You're assuming their risk as well.
Correct, yeah.
And sometimes that's what has them tentative, because they're assuming ours as well.
Maybe to look at us now, that might be what happened.
Very possible. David, did you have another question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, are there any businesses, when we first did this, there were other businesses in town that were self-insured. Are there still other businesses in town self-insured? And is their experience different from ours for some reason? Or, because they're not big.
I think So there's a lot, and I would say there's more school districts now that are self-funded than when we began in 2023. It's like kind of growing. And the thing, I think what the thing is that if we can always look at self-funding every year. But right now, when you look at the offers that we have from fully insured options,
They cut their prices?
yeah, like so we're talking like huge swings. So like we can either do a double-digit increase and stay self-funded, or we can have a double-digit savings and go to fully insured. And so, and that's not to say we wouldn't necessarily go back or consider self-funding again in the future, but for right now, when you see those side by side, I think it'll help people make a decision when they see these different numbers.
It's kind of like dealing with spectrum and so forth.
Yeah.
You stay with it and the price goes
Yeah.
up and up, so
Yeah.
you shift to something else to
Yeah.
get it down.
Yeah.
Is it the same carrier?
For
For like the
self-funded,
self-funded versus fully insured?
we're actually going to look at a couple different options with self-funded, including staying with the current carriers, and then also another option that we looked at that was self-funded. So,
So there are staff that are on the committee.
Yep, an open invite went out to all current benefit eligible employees. So any or all that are interested can join. They're responding to either myself or Jolene. And I think so far, we have about five or six that expressed interest, and we're hoping to know a final number by a week from today. And actually, we just heard back from our brokers because there was a conflict with parent-teacher conferences at Murray one night and at the middle school. So we were able to shift. I'm going to communicate with all staff tomorrow morning about what those new dates are, and that could generate more people to be there. Quite honestly, and they know that their role, or they will know that their role is to help craft a recommendation. It's not to make a decision, it's to examine all of the information, have 6 hours worth of conversation, and then bring a recommendation to the board for the board's consideration.
Has staff been involved at that level before?
They
have been.
Okay, great.
And Ron, right now we have 5 people.
Excellent.
It's not a list.
So my guess is we will have more, because some of the people that responded initially asked about the conflict. Because we asked them to make the commitment to all 3, just so for efficiency purposes, so we're not redoing and revisiting all of the other conversations.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, good question. Any other things that Chris or Jessica want to add, or other questions from the board? Great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Policy committee? David, do you want to share?
Sure, so the policy committee met, and basically the whole point was we changed the committee structure, and so we need to rewrite the policy to handle the new committee structure. And what we agreed on as a committee is basically go back to the old policy item when we had 4 committees. We tweaked the language slightly, but we have 4 standing committees: policy, finance, community engagement, curriculum, and instruction. Each committee has up to 4 members. We thought that we could determine who was on the committees every April at our reorganizational meeting and do it by consensus if that worked, and if it didn't, then we laid in a voting procedure. But a lot of times we don't need to spend time voting because everybody said what they wanted to be on and it all works out. But we might sometimes need to vote, so it's in there. Instead of requiring every board member to serve on at least 1 committee, we just felt you should be encouraged to serve on at least 1 committee. And board members can't be on more than 2 committees without special board approval. So we put that in because if board members have to drop off the board in the middle of the year, for example, we very well might be in a position where we want that to happen.
Sure.
Then there's the ad hoc committees, and that's no change of anything. That's the way it was. And the last item in the policy would be that the committee chair would be selected by the committee and would approve minutes and written summary of each meeting prior to submission to the board. So this idea that we're using AI to generate things and editing them, and then the board, the committee chair does not have to sit down and actually write minutes and submit them to everybody. They'll come from Ron, but they'll come from note gathering and then a little bit of editing, and then the committee chair will take a look and go, yeah, that's a good summary of what went on, or nope, that's got some issues that maybe we need to put back in there that didn't make it. So it gives the committee the chance to actually make sure that the minutes are what they want to have to come out. So that's what we spent our time basically talking about. The rest of it, we talked about just how this policy committee functions and the Neola recommendations for new policy that we go through, and how most of it is technical changes, grammatical changes, things like that. But sometimes there are big policy items that get into discussion, but those always come back to the board to be discussed.
Well done.
Next item, curriculum department highlights for September. Chrissy, anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
No, I think it was covered in the summary, right?
Thank you. The general fund interim budget report. Jonah, anything?
Don't really have too much to say about that, but maybe the next one, the preliminary
Okay.
enrollment.
Enrollment. Sure.
It's just, something that we've kind of been tracking all summer is our enrollment at our virtual school, and just noticing how much it's dropped. So we're projecting right now that we're dropping about 182 students compared to last year. Very significant amount of revenue tied to that. So we're kind of aware of it, at least since the summertime. We've done what we can in the, up to this point to close the gap between revenues and expenses, but it's just something we're gonna work to close that gap between revenues and expenses, and this is where we're at right now. Most of the school district's funding is tied to student enrollment, and so it's a significant change. In terms of the brick and mortar, it's not a huge change from last year, but it's the virtual school that we've seen so much drop. So.
Did we see a lot of the virtual school get picked up by the brick and mortar?
I can speak to that a little bit. So the majority of our students that left virtual are not Ripon students. Only 80% of Odyssey is open enrolled. Only 20% is. Our Ripon students are actually the ones who stayed for the most part. The families that left chose to straight homeschool because there are no virtual schools out there anymore that can offer what all of us used to offer, because the state came up with new, the statutes have stayed the same, but their guidance and requirements for those statutes became much clearer from them. Before they were very vague with the explosion of virtual schools and COVID. They have now kind of gotten to that point. So this past, almost a year ago, they came to all the virtual schools and said, this is what you need to do. And if not, you'll be hearing from us and you'll have a formal action plan. So we made those changes, and we knew we were going to lose families because of it, because of what they were asking is we are no longer able to offer. So that's just where we're at. A few have gone to private schools. There is one large virtual private school in the state that can do what we used to because they are private and they don't have to follow the same statutes. So we didn't lose that. And another chunk went to their local private brick and mortar schools. So very few went to other virtual schools because they're all under the same requirements that we are. So,
thank you.
What's an example of some things that we no longer can do?
There's 3 basic questions that we need to be able to answer for every single one of our students. And it's, how do they know what they need to do for that day? What is their progress on that specific task? And how is that informing their future instruction? And in the past, we had quarterly check-ins for students that we were allowing. And their learning coach at home, whoever that was, parent, grandparent, really took charge of what the students were doing day to day. And the state said it needs, which fully agree, it's a public school, public educators should be the ones delivering those things day to day. So with us being the ones to prescribe the daily pacing and giving that daily feedback to students, requiring more live classes or watching the recordings if that's what works best for that family. Many families are like, no, I want to educate my child. I want to be the one that is guiding that, which that's what homeschooling is for. Our state allows that. So I think it's just the state trying to make sure that everyone is in their right spot based on what the purpose of all the different types of schools are in the state and schooling. So.
I think we were doing more of a hybrid probably,
yeah,
to accommodate parents.
It was actually a good compromise between homeschool and public school.
Right.
And the state said no more, so we said, okay, you tell us what to do and we do it.
So has there been an uptick in homeschooling then?
Yes. So out of the little over 150 students we lost, about 80 of those went straight to homeschool.
Do you know how many students in our district are homeschooled?
Yes, we do, but I don't off the top of my head.
Okay.
But we could send you an email on that.
That would be great. I
Yeah.
just out of curiosity
Yeah.
and like to know that.
What is the impact to the scores on that then? Like, they really can't test, or?
To be frank, most of those students didn't test anyways, their parents signed an opt-out form.
Okay.
So that was
Because otherwise they can select a day and then come in and test?
We test several locations across the state, and we push our schedule out within that 4 window, and Pewaukee, Oshkosh, Ripon, Merrill are the 4 that we have done previously, and parents signed up for the date that works best for them and their family, and have come in, we rent out a ballroom at a hotel and set up similar to here, lots of tables, and the students test. But exciting this year, the state is offering a virtual option, so we're excited to see how that rolls out this spring. They announced that last spring that they were going to pilot it this fall and roll it out this spring, so we're hoping that increases the number of our families that test, because they'll be able to do it from home.
And can they parse that information out to see how that is in comparison to like the brick and mortar schools?
They do. And Odyssey has historically lifted our average scores district-wide. So I think at one point in the last couple of years, we were the second highest achieving virtual school in the state. And so.
And that bumps up our overall
Yeah.
district scores?
Well, it does on
yes
our
and no.
district-wide score, but not on our state report card.
If you're over 30% open enrolled, it nullifies that score as part of your overall.
Okay.
So, but in other areas of reports it does, so it's a little bit of a yes and no.
You just touched on one of the secrets that most parents don't know, which is that their kids don't have to take those exams. My kids didn't take any.
There's 2 grades that it's a little, 4th and 10th, social studies is a little bit trickier, but yeah, there's a nice form that we fill out and we sign it and tuck it away.
One thing though that our test, I just want to mention, and Chrissy would want to mention this, is that like we need to have a high number of students test or we get hurt in our district report card. So we're trying to get as many people testing as we can and make it as smooth and easy to do as we can. So.
And we want that information to help
Yep.
us understand how we're doing. So we strongly encourage it, but.
I'm going to throw out the other point of view. I don't believe in those tests, and there's a large number of people, educators around the country, that don't believe in either. This is actually something that slides under the rug. Is how useful those tests are and how much difference they
I have mixed thoughts on them because it doesn't really do anything but provide stress for the kids when it doesn't.
There's also
it's
research
just a
that
report
says,
card
there's
for the
also
school
research
district.
I've read that says that every time students take high stakes tests, no matter whether they do well or poorly, their interest in the subject goes down. So there's a lot of stuff that we never just talked about, and I'm not going to push for us to talk about, but it's interesting that it's come up now. School districts want the tests because the government has built things into looking good on the tests, but educators don't all think it's a good idea.
I think it's tied to funding too.
I have another question, just because I'm not that well versed on the virtual, but so, this year is done, the homeschooling maybe didn't go like parents thought it was going to go or whatever, and so then next year, they want to come back, do we have that ability?
They can come back now. They could come back, they could be a month into school and say, Just kidding, you have them, please help, and we would welcome them with open arms. So we're still actively advertising and welcoming new students, except for one today. So every single one of those brings that funds with it. So we onboard them at the different quarters just to make things easy for our teachers. We don't want to stress them up getting a new student every week here and there. But yes, through the alternative open enrollment process, we can accept throughout the year until we reach our caps, and we can always adjust those with adding more staff. But right now we're accepting and still actively advertising, and we're welcome.
But we're not necessarily, and maybe Becky can speak to this, accepting virtual open enrollment for special education, correct?
Correct. We're not accepting open enrollment of any special education students, whether virtual or brick and mortar. They ask all the time, but we are so full and our staff is stretched so thin, and there's just not more staff available to meet the needs of accepting more special education students. So for the last several years, our special education seats have been closed. Thank you.
Can you stay up here for a second? I don't know who to ask this to, Jonah or you, Becky. But looking at the, it's a little bit off of what we were talking about, but since you're there, looking at the enrollment, I asked this morning, the early childhood enrollment was pretty much the same through the years, and all of a sudden this year it has just bottomed out.
It has, which is surprising because out of our normal, we are the second highest area in Fond du Lac County for birth to 3 referrals.
Okay.
And I have 2 sitting in the queue right now, waiting for them to turn 2.5 before we have their transition meetings. So it will grow, but it
does. I realize that.
It is not normal for us to be sitting at that number. Plus, we also had 4 that are eligible, but 3 actually are going to an ADA center to receive services instead of school, which is a different kind of normal these days.
Yeah, I wondered if it was people weren't being referred, or it's the birth rate, or you know what. That just, it was kind of shocking. Quite a difference.
They're still there. They're coming.
I figured they'd be coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
All the teachers right now are having babies.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sam, you might as well just stay there. For the, yeah.
I'm gonna grab my computer back.
Not up then. Yeah, for the annual report. Yeah. A big thank you to all of the principals for your highlights. We always appreciate those every month. It's nice to see what's going on in all the buildings. Yes, go ahead.
So again, this is for last year, so it looked pretty status quo from year to year. Next year's is the one that is going to have some drastic changes, because that'll be the one that summarizes all of the changes that we're going through now. This past year, enrollment grew. We met before the changes, our enrollment was growing. We welcomed on many new staff members. Few goals that we did not meet. With those new teachers being hired, we had not yet gotten to train them in the PBL process, but over the summer and into this year, our elementary staff are doing a book study using the PBL handbook, which is from the PBL Works program out of California. Buck Institute is the gold standard for PBL, so they will be going through that. So that'll be met for next year. I think reading and math scores, we set, like I said, we set high expectations. We set, I've always had a high academic standard for our students, 80% being above or advanced in students, and we met that for reading, but not for math for elementary. And middle, we were still, if you want 50% of your students to be 50% or above, and we were 61, but we still, it didn't meet our standard that we set for ourselves, to David's point before, we do set high standards, so we definitely have some work there, but then our high school had some shining moments this year with their testing.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is the third year in a row we've had higher than a 22 average on our ACT, which is significant. This year, this past spring, we had a 23.1, which again, I don't know where that ranks necessarily within the state for virtual schools. Joni did mention second in the state, it might be first. I think it might be. I'd have to do a little bit more digging for that. I think it was really great to see our English score though compared to our state average. Our English score was a 24.9, which is significant. And that honestly is a shout out to our English teacher, Mrs. Hicks. She's an amazing educator. I wish she could help every student because I see what she's able to do just with our 40, 50 students in the high school. So she brought that to, again, 24.9 with the state average of being 18.3. She said, when I had that conversation with her, she said, sometimes I question if what I'm doing is what's best practice, being kind of almost in a silo at Odyssey when you're by yourself. And I think the scores speak for themselves there.
That's great.
And as for kind of some of the accomplishments, I feel like Vince and I got a chance to talk to you a lot last year, so that just kind of summarizes a lot of the things. One of our highlights that we're still able to offer and has always been a favorite for our families is a monthly field trip. And we pick a different place over the state each month, knowing kind of where our families are. So we already have the September, October, November, and December ones are already planned out. So we're excited that that is something that we did not have to change and we get to do.
What do you have coming up?
We have Horicon Marsh, we have Old World, Wisconsin, we have something at the Grand Opera House in Oshkosh in the morning, and then rented out the public library in the afternoon for just some lunch and social time together. And then, I'm blanking on the fourth one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
okay, that sounds great.
So those are some of the exciting ones that we got.
Thank you. Great job. Okay, we'd like to come into closed session. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
David, second?
Second.
Huh? All right, and we'll vote. Passed unanimously. Thank you, everybody.